Hi guys, and welcome to part 2 of my writer's tag. Please ignore my very annoying neighbors having yard work done. I don't have anywhere else to film because my house is filled with people, so here I am outside. My camera cut me off in the last one. I was trying to say bye to you guys because I was running out of recording time, but here we are. So now I'm going to continue on this writer's tag and possibly be making a part 3, part 4, however long it takes to finish. So bear with me, guys. The next question on this writer's tag is, how do you deal with writer's block? Okay. I am not the best person to ask, because when it comes to writer's block, there is no one worse at handling it than me. You know, the majority of authors will tell you, just keep writing. That is so much easier said than done. And I understand the struggle of being told that, but I also understand the truth behind it. It's true, you just have to keep writing. And I hate doing that. I really hate it. Because I want everything I'm producing to feel like gold. I want it to be perfection. I want it to be prime cut words. It needs to be perfect. And that is not realistic. That is actually probably a little bit self-destructive. And so I know that writing isn't something that just comes all the time, every second of the day, for most people. But the thing that I do is I sit there and I think of the next sentence. I'm like, alright, you know where they're going, you know what the next plot point is, so just think of a sentence that could lead there. And you write the sentence. And then you spend another 15 minutes for the next sentence. And you spend another 15 minutes for the next sentence. And it takes you 7 hours and to write, 200 words, and it's frustrating and grueling and painful, but you're continuing to write when you don't want to, and then you can get to the scene where you have inspiration, and you get over that, and then eventually you get to go back to the shit, and you can edit it, and that's how I handle it. I know I could probably do it a little better, but, we're all improving all the time, and I'm a teenager, so I have time. What is the most research you've ever put into a book? The book I am currently writing is based on a certain mythology called the Watchers, which is a group of 200 fallen angels. And I've had to do a lot of mythological research to create my characters and kind of my, my hierarchy of angels. And I've also had to do quite a lot of research on the buying of alcohol, because as I said, I am not of legal age to buy it. I am 15. That is not of legal age to buy it. Or drink it. So I don't really know that much about alcohol consumption. I don't know that much about buying alcohol, and one of my main characters is an alcoholic. So I've had to Google a lot, ask a lot of questions. I've had to do a lot of research from both ends for this book. Where does your inspiration come from? Quotes, mainly. I collect quotes, sort of, and a lot of my favorite quotes come from poetry. And in my poetry, excuse the paint. In poetry, they're wording human emotions in a way that they haven't been worded before. And I think seeing human emotions from different angles like that really inspires me. Real events inspire me. I have a short story about an airport bombing. The very first novel that I ever tried to write, I still have the original transcription of it. It's over 88,000 words, and it's awful. But it is this pouring of creative ideas and it's based off of me, my friends, and my hometown. And it's so bad. But you can see the inspiration and the fieriness. So sometimes I'll go back and I'll reread that transcription just because it reminds me of where I started and how far I've come and the passion that I had and that I have to keep it if I want this. And that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from. So I know this is not what you're looking for, but intrinsic motivation is a very large part of my motivation and inspiration to write. I say a lot, don't I? Where do you take your motivation from? Once again, intrinsic motivation. All of my motivation comes from in here. My parents don't really sway me one way or the other. My friends don't really sway me one way or the other. I don't have anyone pushing me to be a writer. I have me pushing me to be a writer. And sometimes that's all I have. And that's hard. But that intrinsic motivation, knowing that I've done all this with my pure willpower and my pure ideas, that's very motivating to me. Just to know that I've gotten this far, what's stopping me from going on forever. On an average day, how much writing do you get done? Not a lot. I have a habit of sitting down and being ready to write and having an idea and then starting to type and losing it. I just get I have ADHD, so focus, not my forte. Not my forte at all. So I'm like, oh man, I'm hungry. God, I gotta pee. Oh man, that looks like a really good book. Ooh, did the new season of my show come out? Oh, what's that on TV? Ooh, I should go for a run, which is not a good idea. I'm asthmatic. I just do it anyway. And so it's like, I get probably a solid page written in Word doc every day. And some days I won't write, and then the next day I'll make up for it with like 6 pages of writing because I have all these ideas built up. So the amount of writing isn't very average, but I'd say a page a day. What's your revision or rewriting process like? I read it over and over and over. I have a very slow reading boyfriend and a very attentive to grammar boyfriend, so he will go through and read my transcript and edit my grammatical errors like commas or misspelled words or using the wrong kind of to, which I hate doing, but I do it all the time. And then I go back and I get his feedback about, I wish I had more into the backstory of this character, or I wish that there was more vulnerability to this character. And then we kind of discuss back and forth about why or why not to include that, and then I will go and I'll edit it into the story, kind of revision. And right now he's currently helping me with my story that will be going out to my colleges when I apply during my junior year this year, which is nerve-wracking, but I'm very thankful that he's there to help me. So really my revision process is very external because I have trouble changing the original idea. I'm a very concrete person, so the concrete concept gets stuck in there and I have a lot of trouble bending it or changing it, and I need help externally for that. First line of a work in progress. First line of a work in progress you're working on. I don't have one. I'm filming from my phone right there. This is my old phone. I don't have it. It's right there. I can sum up the first scene, I guess. The first scene is Savannah, drunk as fuck, walking out of a bar, stumbling everywhere in a really slutty dress that's ripped up the side because she kept tripping in it because it was too tight and her heels were too tall. She lives in Chicago. It's a very shady scene. Something along the lines of, what kind of bar tells a girl she's had enough? I think that's the first line. Not positive, don't take me on that. Post a snippet of a work in progress you're working on. I will put that in the description. I'll give you about a paragraph of the work in progress I'm on. The last sentence I wrote in one of my work in progress. The last sentence I wrote was one word. It was Savannah. How many drafts do you need until you're satisfied and a project is ultimately done for you? 2. I'd say 2. I write my first draft and I edit 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 and I edit. I don't generally save the first draft because I don't know why, I just don't like to. It gets on my nerves to have it. I feel like it's clutter. It's not good, it's not useful. It's just kind of sitting there. And I feel better showing my progression with the edited piece. And then I copy and paste that to a final copy. And that final copy, I go over line by line by line for grammatical errors. And then once that one's cleared, I like to publish on Wattpad. I've only published one story so far, and even that one I'm currently editing because that's one that's going out to colleges. So if you want to read that story, check out the name below, and that'll all be cool. Sorry, that was my cat jumping out of a box. But not the link. Check out the username on Wattpad below in the description, because that is where you can read any of my public reviews of books, and you can read my I have a little very opinionated book that I wrote in middle school about my opinions of things in the world. But then I have my story, A World Made for Whores, which is a short story based off my favorite song. So if you want to read something by me, check that username on Wattpad. Beside the point, 2 drafts. 2 drafts. That's how many I need. 2. Single or multiple point of view and why? Multiple. The reason I always write multiple. I have never written from a single point of view. Well, I take that back. I don't write from first person point of view singly. I will write 2 characters from first point of view or 1 character from an omniscient point of view, but I'm also currently writing 2 characters from an omniscient point of view. So I don't like one person. I feel like it's very restricting to only have one mind feeding the story to the reader. I like to have a bunch of little minds feeding the story piece by piece. I think it creates a more wholesome plot. Poetry or prose and why? I prefer to read poetry and write prose. I prefer to read poetry just because I feel like it's dancing with words, which is cheesy. But I'm a dancer. I've been dancing for 13 years, and you can tell a story with the movement of your body. And I think, poetry is like dancing on paper. And it's just got a certain meat to it that I think I really connect with. And it just, I feel like there's always, everyone reads poetry different, and it separates the human race from everybody else. And I prefer to write in prose because maybe one day I'll write poetry, but I don't quite feel qualified to write poetry, so maybe one day. That's all the time that I have for this part of the writer's tag, and I will see you guys back with a part 3. See you then. Bye!